Well, hello there to you on Instagram. Hi, my lovelies. It's so good to see you. And hello there to you on Facebook. It's so good to see you. Hi, guys, on Facebook. I'm Donna Hoffman. They call me the Interior Design Advocate. You gorgeous design divas, look at you. It's so good to see you showing up. My early birds are here already. I'm Donna Hoffman. They call me the Interior Design Advocate because I advocate on behalf of design lovers, professional designers who are out there making the world more beautiful one room at a time, design lovers who are working on your own home. I'm here to serve. Design is my right work. And when I'm not working in the coaching area, which is an honor that I've been called one of the country's leading interior design coaches, when I'm not doing that, I'm actually running a luxury interior design company in the Philadelphia region of the United States. And what you may not know about me and my design business, you may know that we've won several awards. You see a lot of them up on that shelf behind me. But what you may not know is that I started my design business during the big meltdown of the economy, the big recession of 08, 09. I mean, I started at the worst time thinking, why didn't I had a lobotomy before I tried to start this business? What was I thinking? Because as soon as I started the business, the economy tanked. Let me tell you something. What is that expression? Rough seas make for excellent sailors. Oh my gosh, that was a great training ground. It was painful, maybe a little tearful at times, but oh my gosh, did it just teach me to keep my head down, do what I needed to do to be successful in my business, to be successful quickly, and to build a thriving design business. And it's because of our design business that I've been even able to launch the Interior Design Advocate, where we teach online courses. To date, we've been teaching online courses to design lovers working on your own home, and we're going to be adding an amazing program just for designers who want to grow their success in their design business, who want to feel like you've got an arm around you, supporting you, cheering you on, who's been there, who's walked the walk, who's walking the walk now. And you'd love to not feel alone in your business. Or if you're thinking of starting a design company, it's a program that would also be amazing for you. So as we do our Facebook Lives throughout the rest of this year, yes, I'll still be teaching on design topics, but I'm also going to be teaching to topics that sometimes designers send me questions about. So this is part of a two-parter. Itchy nose, speaking on the truth. This is part of a two-parter. And today's topic, we're talking about the three best types of design clients. And I am not going to say the richest of rich. I'm not going to say that. And I know design clients might think that's what designers would think or would want to say. But in a little bit, I'm actually going to share with you a survey of results of some interesting answers about ideal clients as well. But let's talk about let's back up the conversation a bit first. And I'll take your questions about designers, about design clients and such, if you wish, when I'm done teaching. So type those in. So the important thing to back up the conversation to a starting point is this. Designers have many, many, many roles and responsibilities to their clients. It's what I love about a contract. Spells out the many roles and responsibilities that I as a designer or you as a designer have to your clients. The other great thing about a contract is it spells out a client's roles and responsibilities in their successful project. Oh yes, clients have a few responsibilities and roles as well. As many as a designer, not even remotely. The designer has many roles and responsibilities, but clients do as well. So let's talk about the three best types of interior design clients, because when you first start a design business, any client seems like the best client, and that is the kiss of death, not the way to go. So before I share some survey results with you, I'm going to tell you what I see in this industry, what I have experienced personally, and what I see. I mastermind with some of the best designers in the country. And I see what they go through as well as we mastermind together. So here are the three best types of design clients. And if you are thinking of becoming a design client, you want to be here for this talk so that you know what is a designer looking for from you. How do you become that favored nation status in a design client? I think one of probably the top trait that I look for as a best design client type or archetype is that this is an individual or a couple that wants and values a designer's skill set and vision. Designers that have a skill set and vision that a client wants and values, places a value on. Let me tell you a quick story. It's like an allegory. There's a story of a man who ran a factory, and it ran 24/7, and it was just one giant automated line creating some sort of doodad product. And on staff, he had this wonderful handyman, Angelo. And as soon as something went wrong and shut down the product line, the production line, they'd pick up the phone, they'd call Angelo, he'd come in, he'd see the problem, he'd fix it, and boom, they were on and running again. Well, eventually business was a little slow. The owner of the company said, you know what, I think I need to fire some people. I'm going to fire Angelo because we only need him when things go wrong. So he fires Angelo. He said, Angelo, I can't afford to pay you anymore. Angelo says, no problem. You ever have a problem, you call me and I'll come help you. So sure enough, several weeks later, the whole factory is ground to a halt. The production line freezes. That big machinery running through the factory just breaks down. In a panic, the owner says, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to fulfill my orders. I'm going to be losing money. I'm not going to be able to make product. I can't sell my product. Quick, get Angelo here. They call Angelo. He comes in with his toolkit. The owner is looking at a particular area of the production line saying, Angelo, I think this is where the problem is. Angelo looks, he's quiet, he's thoughtful, he takes it all in. He doesn't go anywhere near that problem area that the owner of the factory thought the problem, housed the problem. Instead, Angelo goes to the end of the product line, or the production line, goes to the very end of the production line, crawls around, looks under one of the conveyor belts, tightens 2 screws, and boom, everything's running smooth as silk again. The owner thanks him. He says, Angelo, please send me a bill. I'm grateful to you. No problem. The next day, the owner gets a bill for $5,000. Calls Angelo on the phone and said, Angelo, what are you doing? You were here like maybe 20 minutes and you're giving me a $5,000 bill? I'm paying you $5,000 for 20 minutes? And Angelo said, no, you're not paying me for 20 minutes. You're paying me for my expertise and my ability to identify what your needs were, to fix them efficiently and swiftly, and to save you money so that you can be back up and running. So, moral of the story, if you think that hiring a designer is trading time for dollars, you probably don't want to hire a designer. If you are looking to hire a designer because you recognize that you do not have the vision, the skill set, the time, the design resources, as in, where do I go get things that look like XYZ? And you recognize that a designer brings all of that to the table and you want that, then you, my friend, would be an ideal design client, and you would be a client that any designer would love to work with. So the best design client, first trait, these are clients that want and value, places a value on a designer's vision, because that client recognizes they lack the skill set, the vision, the ability, the resources, and the time to do all the legwork, to design it and then install that design vision. So the second trait for ideal design clients, these are clients that let designers do their job. They let designers do their job. They don't want to do the designer's job. They want the designer to do the job. They want the designer to do all the legwork and to make it simple and easy and say, okay, this is what we can do, or here's a selection of options that we can do to get you from point A to point Z, and you're telling me that you want to get to point Z. They let the designer do their job. They let the designer do their own design processes. They let the designer drive the path of the project, because design clients don't have path. They don't have process, because if they did, they wouldn't need a designer in the first place. So ideal design clients let designers do their job. They let the designer design, run the project, and take the client along on a wonderful, amazing journey, so that amazing things happen at the end. Now, as a design client, if you're listening to this, that means you have to make sure that you're vetting very well, that you're making sure you're hiring a designer or design team that has processes that you understand, that you can stand behind, that you can lean into, and that you trust that this designer does have processes that will deliver you to where you want to go. Not just that you like her portfolio or his portfolio or the promise of what's to come, but that you believe that their processes will get you there too. So if trait number one is ideal design clients are those that want and value a designer's vision and skill set, trait number two, ideal clients are those that let designers do their job, no micromanagement. The third element that makes you an ideal client rather than a nightmare client, the type of client that a designer, yes, cannot wait to sign and take you into their practice, versus the type of client a designer thinks, oh, good grief, I have to diplomatically get myself out of this, recuse myself from this project. I don't want this person to hire me. What is that last element? The budget needs to be commensurate with the size of your project. That's right. Budget is just a thing. It's nothing to be ashamed of, worried about, apologize for. No, it's nobody's business how you set your budget as a client. But it is a designer's job to know and understand your budget so that he or she can serve that budget. And for her to be able to serve that budget, you have to make sure that your budget is, if your budget is this big, your project has to be this big or smaller. If your budget is this big and your project is this big, that doesn't work. There's a gap, right? So it's imperative that your project budget is commensurate, same size as your project scope. Now, it's possible that you don't know, what do I need to do? How much should I plan to spend on this? It's okay to say to a designer, hey, I don't really know what this renovation should cost. I don't really know what it should cost to redo my master bedroom, but you should at least have a range with you. This is the range I'd like to invest in this. This is what I'm comfortable spending from here to here. Do you think that can happen? Don't play cat and mouse. You want to be able to trust that this designer is going to be able to serve your project well. So open, honest communication, a must. So those are the three ideal types of client traits that separate the fabulous clients from the not so fabulous clients. Next week, we're going to be talking about the three worst client traits out there to make the most unhappy clients that designers do not want to work with. So we'll talk about that so that if you are running a design business, you know who you should gently step away from. And if you want to be a design client, you know who you should not position yourself as, so that you're really going to get a great outcome. Because when you hire a designer, it's about fit. Fit is everything. It's part of a successful give and take so that you get that gorgeous end result. So let me tell you about an interesting survey, and then I'll take some questions. If you have questions about becoming a design client, you're hiring somebody in your area, or if you are a designer and you have questions about certain phone calls that you're getting from prospective clients that are making you a little nervous, or if you've got a client problem on your hands, happy to talk to you about that as well. So a study. I was doing a writing project and I interviewed designers across the United States and up into Canada. I asked designers and clients several questions, the same questions, and it was interesting. The answers were so different, but they tracked back to the same root causes. So when I asked designers to name their top 5 traits that they loved or looked for and appreciated in a design client, not one designer said, I want a rich client. Not one, not one. Here are the answers. These are the top 5 most popular answers we got. We got kind. I want a client who's kind. Fair. Fair and honest went hand in hand. I want a client who's honest, ethical came in there. Honest, ethical, and fair. We got that answer. Says thank you and shows appreciation. Wow, that one surprised me, but that's something that designers loved seeing in clients. Budget is commensurate with project scope. Nobody said, I want super rich clients. They said budget is commensurate with project scope. And some people put that in different words, and they said, I like clients. I try not to go for clients who have champagne taste and a beer budget. Same way of saying budget and project size have to be the same size. They have to come together. And then the last super popular answer that designers across the country and into Canada gave us was, when I work with couples, I like working with couples that have a nice relationship so that they're not sniping at each other and snarking at each other during meetings or eye rolling during meetings. So I thought those were some fun answers. And I was so proud of all the designers that we spoke to, because nobody gave that answer I thought I was going to hear. I want rich clients. Not one designer said that. So if you're thinking that you're not getting the right types of clients in your business, what kind of language are you using in your marketing and your promotion? How are you promoting what you do in the world so that you are attracting people who need what you have? And how are you using language that will address the value of what you do? And the value that you bring, how you're using language that talks about the processes and path that you take people on. Are you using language that talks about how you guide people through budget, right? So know what type of client you want to attract, and that will start to inform the kind of language that you use as you're putting your wonderful message out into the world. And I want you to put your wonderful message out into the world. The world needs you, designers. The world needs your vision, your creativity, your buoyancy, your vibrancy. And I want to see you succeed in your business, because if you don't succeed in your business, then you can't be of service to the people that you are here to serve. You're not here to serve the same people I'm here to serve, or the same people Jane is here to serve, or Melissa is here to serve. You are here to serve the people you're here to serve as a designer. And I want to see you do that miraculously well. And if you are a sensitive or an HSP or an empath as a designer, even more important that you know what you need to do to stay intact in your business. And one of those things has to do with making sure that you are working with clients who are in alignment with what you value, and as well as the value that you bring. Okay, so if you have a question to ask me on this topic, I'd be happy to take it. And there it is. So here's the first question coming in from Trisha. She said, Donna, I had a designer come for consultation and I haven't heard from her since. Should I follow up or find someone else? Trisha, I'm going to say that that's really weird behavior on a designer's part. Something is amiss. This is either a designer you do not want to work with because they do not have follow-up and process. Give me some thumbs up if you agree with me on this, and the hearts out there in Facebook land if you agree. Or this designer doesn't feel that she can do your project, and she doesn't have the centered graciousness to be able to say to you, Trisha, I don't think I'm the right designer for you. I don't get your aesthetic is probably not what I do a lot, and I'd want to help you. I'd rather see you find somebody that you're well aligned with. I think it's better to have somebody say that to you. Or Trisha, I don't think that your budget is commensurate with your project scope. I don't know how I can help you. Do you know, I charge for a consultation. I always have, because I design in that first meeting. But I do credit part of that back into the project if somebody then hires us. But I remember years ago going to see someone, and I don't even take these kind of projects on anymore for a variety of reasons, but she kind of had this piecemeal project, and she kind of wanted me to, this was really early in my career, she wanted me to help her find a new media cabinet, just piecemeal things to band-aid what she'd already done. And she showed me pictures of what she wanted to create in her residence, and then I saw what she'd already done. And what she'd already done would never equal the vision that she showed me that she wanted. And I thought, it isn't going to work. And in the middle of the session, I said, so-and-so, I have to tell you, or at the end of the session, I said, first of all, I'm not going to charge you for today because I'm going to recuse myself from your project. I don't think you should hire me. And she looked, shocked. I said, you are a lovely person. I think you're terrific. And I don't doubt that you'd be lovely to work with. I said, however, the pictures you're showing me, what you want to create, design is an additive sport. Just like you want to make a chocolate mousse, you don't use chopped liver and walnuts. I happen to love both of those things, but they won't ever equal chocolate mousse. So the vision that you're showing me you want to create, even if I found you the best, she wanted new window treatments too, the best window treatments, if I designed the best window treatments for you and found the best media cabinet in the world for you, it would still not ever lead to where you want to go because of the decisions you've already made, which are fine. They're your decisions. This is your home, but I can't deliver what you're asking me to deliver. But Trisha, the reason I'm telling you this story is I was very upfront and honest with the client in that meeting, and it was not pleasant. She wasn't happy. It was uncomfortable, but I felt I owed her my honesty. I felt that integrity and saying it as respectfully as possible was important. So Trisha, I would ditch that designer. I wouldn't follow up with them because either they have no follow up, you don't want that. You want process, right? Because design, the devil's in the details. And or she felt that somehow your project wasn't a fit for her and she doesn't have the strength to be able to tell you that. So you don't want to work with that person either. So that's what I think. Tell me if you guys agree with that, but that's what I'm saying to you, Trisha. So keep searching for that ideal designer. She's out there for you. Every shoe has its match. And make sure, Trisha, you're being really candid with designers. This is the scope of project on the phone. This is the type of project. First, what kind of processes do you use? Talk me through your path. This is what I'd like to accomplish. This is the kind of budget I'm thinking of. Tell me, is this the kind of project that you think might be a fit for you? Does it make sense for us to meet in person? So bring as much as you can to that initial call before you start bringing people in for a consult. Hopefully that helps you. Okie dokie. Joe Collins is telling me I look fabulous in blue. Thank you, Joe. My mother liked me in this color too, and I've been missing her this month is the month that she died. So I'm wearing a lot of things that remind me of her. So thank you, Joe. Missy Steinhardt is saying, question in all caps. Hold for it, everybody. This is going to be a big question. Missy is saying, what's the difference between a designer and a decorator, or are they the same? That's actually a good question. I think that designer is a more elevated term and a slightly more skilled person, and a decorator is thought of as somebody who just does more lighter kinds of things, more decorative, moving accessories around. That said, I love Jamie Drake. He's one of the most talented, he's my design crush. So talented. I've heard him refer to himself as a decorator and a designer. He's both, and he's one of the most lettered and studied designers, practicing today that I know of. So I personally prefer the word designer. When people speak to me, I refer to myself as a designer, not a decorator. So there it is. I'm going to say designer is a slightly more elevated skill set and ability than a decorator. How's that? Tell me if you agree with me on that one. Denise is saying, hey, Donna, haven't been able to watch for a while due to illness. Ooh, you're a sight for sore eyes, Donna. Hope you are all well. Denise, I'm sorry you weren't feeling well, and I'm glad you're back. Good to see you. Debbie is saying, I'm taking this to heart so one day I can be that wonderful client. I know that I have a lot of potential to be that difficult client. LOL. Debbie, you don't want to be the difficult client. I'm going to tell you right now. The client that designers love working with, that is the client that you bend over extra backward for to do things for. You don't want to be the client that when your email comes in, a designer thinks, oh gosh, I just don't have it in me to open this email right now. I'm going to wait a little bit. I think it's a win-win when there's an excellent, a respectful, I think warm is always good, but an excellent and respectful connection between you and your designer. It's a partnership, and you will get so much more out of it when you as a client come to the table acknowledging the expertise of the person that you've hired. Look, you don't go to the dentist and tell them how to, fill your bicuspid. You assume that he or she knows what they're doing, and you open your mouth and let them do their thing. You really want to hire an excellent designer who can take you on that journey, like I said. So I'm glad this is helping you, Debbie. Beverly is telling me good afternoon from Massachusetts. Beverly is agreeing with everything I'm saying. And then Joe Collins is saying, do you think it is a what? And then your message cut off. I don't see the rest of your message. That's it. Do you see Joe's message? It kind of looks cut off in there, right? I can't. It's cut off. It's cut off. I'm sorry. I can't see it, Joe. You got to put it back in. Let me tell you what we're talking about next time. And also, if you missed any, a couple of things. If you're looking to start a design company, you definitely want to check out and get my successful design business checklist. It is brimming and chock full of great info. Link in bio for you guys on Instagram and on Facebook. It's in the description. Definitely get on that, because not only is this checklist thick and meaty and deep, but once you get that checklist, you're going to hear from me in your inbox about every other week, about twice a month, with great support on mindset, on business, on marketing, all the important things that designers need to be really successful in your design business. So it's an amazing part of your life, and that so you can be in service to the people you're here to serve, and be successful at it as well. So definitely get that checklist if you don't already have it. And if you missed any portion of this, you can always find us on YouTube at the Interior Design Advocate, YouTube at the Interior Design Advocate. And if you're not following our teaching brand over there on Facebook at decorating.genius, you guys are already there. That's at decorating.genius. And if you're not following us at our luxury design company, our studio, that's at IDH Designs, at IDH Designs. There it is. So let's see. I think there's some other things happening here. Joe is saying, do you think it may be difficult to work with a relative on a design renovation? Yes. I like this. Final 2 questions, by the way, guys. If you have questions, pop it in there. I got to tell you, a relative of mine once wanted to hire me and wanted me to do some paint consults. And I had my project manager to tell him our price list. And he wasn't happy. And he came back with, how long does it take to pick out paint? And I said, he's not paying me for how long it takes to pick out the paint. He's paying me to pick out the right paint colors. Like that story I told earlier. And I told my brother, I don't think you should hire me. And so he didn't. So my project manager said it really well because she owned a big business, multi-million-dollar business. And she closed it down, wanted to come work for us, didn't want to be a business owner anymore. But she said, you know, the problem with working with friends and relatives is that you drop your rate and so they think they should get a deal. So you're going to take money out of your pocket to give them a deal, which is fine. But you're giving them something and they feel like they want more. So everybody's coming to the table. Everybody's unhappy. Your relative or friend thinks that you should be giving them more than you are. You're thinking I could be working with other clients and making my full margin so I can pay myself and put food on my table and pay my team. So she's always says, I never recommend working with friends and relatives. So the only time I think working with friends and relatives makes sense is if it's your mom. Wish my mom was still alive. I would do that. I would work for my mom. And also for free, honestly, because I love my mom to bits, or did, still do. I think you gotta be real careful because boundaries are a problem. Remember I started talking about contracts? What I love about contracts is it states everybody's roles and responsibilities. They do. They also set boundaries and expectations and limits. And with family and friends, it's sometimes boundaries and limits get really, kind of blurry. So I think it's best to tell a friend or relative, I really want to preserve our relationship, so I would love to see you not hire me for this. I'd rather that our relationship be about us and you're my brother or my whatever. The only time I think it really is great to work for a client or a friend or a family member is when you're first starting out. And that same brother who I said don't hire me, years earlier he hired me. He was my first client. I think he just took pity on me, and he was out of work and I had launched my business. He's probably thinking, oh, my kid's sister needs a break. And he had a great time and I did great work for him, and he got a great deal on it because I wanted to photograph something. So I think when you're first starting out, working with friends and family can be a good thing if you're bartering or whatever, or doing a reduced rate. But I would just proceed carefully with it. It's sticky. Tell me if you agree with that or not. Give me a rating system out there on that answer. All right. This is Mall King 513 is saying on Instagram, Donna, I let my designer at Ethan Allen have full control, and they hit a bullseye. More than pleased. That's what you want. And Mall King 513, I bet that your designer ended up doing things that you wouldn't have thought of yourself, saw problems that you wouldn't have seen, saw solutions that you wouldn't have seen, saw possibilities that you wouldn't have seen, brought things to the table that you just wouldn't have known to do, because why should you? You're excellent at things you're excellent at. You don't do what I do 24/7 and what other designers do 24/7. So I am so glad. That gave me the chills when you said that. I love when clients say, you hit it out of the park, or we just came back from a vacation and walking back into this home feels amazing because of what you did or what my designer did. So that's the magic. It is magic when you have a great designer doing wonderful things for you. It's just such a gift. It's a luxury. It is a luxury, but it's a gift. And then, okay. So then Lori is saying, if the designer recommends a case good that the client doesn't quite think a case goods. Case good is a wood furniture. Lori has some advanced lingo. Good for you, Lori. If a designer recommends case goods that a client doesn't think quite works, does the client trust the designer and buy it anyway? Oh, Lori, this is tough. So I believe, did you guys ever see the movie To Sir with Love? It's a movie from the 60s, and it's about the substitute teacher who's teaching in a really tough section of London, and the kids hate him when he starts. They can't stand him. They treat him like garbage. There's spitballs are coming at him, and he just keeps teaching and he keeps working for them, and eventually they see that he loves them and he wants to do the best by them. And at the end of the year, by the time he's ready to renew his contract, they all love him. Now they're calling him sir. And he says, look, I'm leaving. I'm not coming back. And they're crying. And that's why that song, To Sir with Love, somebody sings that to him. So I always tease my project manager that there's a point in every project where I can feel a client suddenly tips and they really trust us. That said, if I see that a client is objecting to something, rather than trying to push a client to take it, for example, we just presented a pool house to a client, and he was like, yeah, I love all this. And she looked kind of, looking around, looking. And she wasn't, usually we hit it out of the park for her. And I listened to what she objected to. And I asked myself, why is she objecting to this? What isn't this environment creating for her? So a good designer should listen deeply to understand profoundly why something is objectionable to a client. Is it too bold a move? Is it too quiet a move? Is there too much contrast there? Is it too rough a texture? Is it too shiny a texture? They should understand your design fingerprint enough that they understand what you want, but also why you don't like something. So what I would say, Lori, is I would say to my designer, listen, I hired you because I want your skill set and I trust you, and I want to see what you can create for us. I'm still having a hard time with this case good, or with this wood blah blah blah, whatever it is. Here's what I think where it's a miss for me. Can I please see a couple of other options? And if we need to circle back to this because you feel that this is absolutely what will deliver me where I've told you I want to go, then Lori, then only you can answer, are you willing to trust her at that point, or him? But I would first ask for some reselections. You should absolutely ask for reselections. You should never feel worried or nervous to say to a client, I don't like that lamp. I like everything else, but that lamp didn't do it for me. And can I please see a different yada, yada, yada. That's called a reselection, and that you should absolutely be able to do that. Depends on what's in your contract, though. If you have a fixed fee contract with somebody and you don't have any more reselections left, you might then be accumulating some other charges, but that's a different conversation. Beverly's saying that I'm right, never worked with a relative. It's not good in the end. And then Erica is saying, when you bring up contracts, does it have a cooling effect on the process? No, and it should not, Erica. Erica, we got to talk. Something in the way you're positioning everything. No. Contracts should not be scary pants kind of things. There's just a thing. It's just a part of the process. Erica, if you don't have my successful design business checklist, please get on that list. I think there'll be a lot in there for you that's good, and I think that the monthly content that I'll be sending out will also really help you. Good stuff coming your way on that. But answer no, it does not ever cool my process, and it should not cool your process either. Everybody's loving the response on doing business with family, and we all love our families. It's not about not loving our families. Kathy said, I have questioned more than one designer, and then I don't ever hear from them again. Kathy, if you're cycling through designers, then I'm going to say there's a problem, and you're you could be part of that problem. And I love you to bits, Kathy. This is not said critically, but I would say that I think it's perfectly legit to have a miss with a designer. Everybody can get one miss. Maybe two. But if you're going through designer after designer after designer, then I'm going to say there's something that you're contributing to this miss. Are you not communicating well? Are you micromanaging? Are you difficult? I don't know. Are you indecisive? That can drive a designer bananas. So it is a relational thing. Designers don't just make refrigerators. They just stamp out 24 hours a day. No matter who you are, their refrigerator gets made. No. Designers work with you on their project. So you have to be part of that process. So if something's jumping the rails, it may be the designer, maybe you too. So if you're seeing that you're cycling through designers, I'm going to say there could be something that's going on there that you might be contributing to. And I say that respectfully, but it's what I have observed to be absolutely true as I watch designers, as I coach designers, as I mastermind with designers. Beverly said, I'm getting hearts on that too on Instagram. So I got some designers watching this too who agree with me. Beverly said, you taught us well. Why go to a designer? I don't know what you said. Beverly, you're typing so fast. I don't know what you said there. So Erica said, you do have the checklist. I haven't dealt with that, but I guess I'm curious on how you approach the contract. Yeah. So here's how you approach a contract. Your contract should be comprehensive. It should have a section that lists the exact scope of work that you're going to do. I do that separately in an email, so a client just sees a total summation of our first meeting, what I believe their project entails. And then once they approve that, I just insert that into my standing agreement. I will go through the agreement with clients so they understand what's in there, because some of it's legalese, and I've asked my attorney, please make this shorter, and he says, no, this is what you need. But I always have a first consultation with the client first so they can get a sense of me as a designer. We can design together, go through their project, even if I'm just looking at blueprints. Maybe I'm not doing, just decorative design in an existing structure, which is fine too. But I make sure that we have a sense that we would be a good fit. And then by the time the contract signature comes around, it's very, very simple because they've already seen and signed off on the scope of work. So maybe what you want to do, Erica, is you have your contract template, and then separate from that, you can have just a scope of work that you issue to a client after you've met with her or him or a couple. Say, this is what I understand you need. And if you agree with this as your scope of work, then I'm going to insert this into my total contract so you can see, timeline, fees, and how the whole thing works. So that might, and the reason I like doing it that way is that people can really focus on just my project. What is this designer going to do for me in this project? List all of it. And then once they see the contract, they've already approved the scope of work. So then the contract to me is just all the its and bits to pull it together. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Hoping that makes sense to you. And listen, Beverly, I don't know where you are in your success journey as a designer right now, but we're going to be launching a great program, an amazing program that's going to be all about designing the design business that you love, that will bring you to a success point that you may not have even thought of for yourself, and that you'll do it in a way that feels just really clear and filled with integrity in yourself, and without all the stressing and the anxiety. And really everything I've learned in building the successful business I've built. And as I said earlier, I started during one of the worst recessions, in recent records. So there it is. All right, guys, listen, I've got to buzz out of here. Katie's giving me the sign. We've overstayed our welcome just a little bit, but I love your comments. I love your questions. Please come next week again, 4 p.m. Eastern. We're going to do the reverse of this talk. We're talking about the 3 worst types of design clients. So that if you want to be a design client, you want to show up so you're not falling into those behaviors. And if you're a designer, you want to know what to look for when you're being vetted, because you're vetting people right back, aren't you? All right, lovelies, I love being here with you. I love being able to serve and support. You look great. You sound great. I can't wait to see you again next week, 4 p.m. Eastern. So I'll see you then. Take care. Hi, this is Donna. Thanks so much for watching. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and comment below so I know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe to the Interior Design Advocates channel so you don't miss any of our great content.